Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I am your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you do one thing, to create ecosystems and environments where people thrive. Look, when we think about people thriving, when we think about people creating a life of resilience, when we think about what leadership looks like, I have somebody on here today that, I would definitely call her a friend, a colleague, somebody that I truly look up to. My lady Erika, she's a keynote speaker, construction industry leader, podcast host, and the best-selling author of Audacious Expansion. Erika's journey is one of literal, incredible resilience. After surviving a brutal assault in 2022, she made a powerful decision not to retreat, but to expand. And since then, she's taken her story, she's taken those struggle moments to stages across the country, helping women, men, and people in audiences from all ages, in all industries, experience one thing: helping people turn adversity into courage, connection, and bold leadership. Look, today we're talking about all things resilience, all things power of community, and what it really means to live and lead with audacity. Erika, how are you, my friend?
Oh, man, I want to just play rewind and listen to that again. That was great.
Let's go.
Thank you. Let's go. Time to be bold.
It's time to be bold. You are somebody that I highly respect, somebody that many of my listeners probably have not yet met before. In one sentence, how would you describe who you are outside of the titles, outside of all of the things that probably social media highlights?
Oh, I love this question. You know, when you strip back the titles, you strip back the accolades, you strip back, the degree that's on the wall and the shiny little like glitz and glimmer. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm a work hard, play hard type of like go-getter female that's just out there working hard every day for the goals and the dreams and the things that I want to accomplish, but also recognizing that on the other side of it, there needs to be that play, that needs to be that fun. And when I say that, I don't mean like amusement parks or, going to the beach, but I mean celebrating the things that we do each and every day.
Yes. I love that. I really love that. I have 1,000 questions for you. I literally do. And I'm so proud of you.
Let's go.
I'm so proud. Because you have something new that just came out, and I'm so proud to get into it. But I really want to start and set the foundation here. When people hear the word audacious, what does it mean to you personally right now in this season in your life?
I love this question, and I just delivered this at a keynote the other day. So when I say audaciously expand, a lot of people think it needs to be the big, bold, brave things that we're doing. And yes, audacity can be that. It can be that sandpaper, that gritty side of you doing the things, writing the books, being on the stages, taking the new jobs. And that's all great, right? But what I want to remind people is that before that audacious action can actually happen, before that accomplishment can actually be profound, audacity is all of the quiet things behind the scenes. The day in, the day out. Sometimes it's the quiet moments. Sometimes it's setting the boundary. Sometimes it's saying no with a period. And sometimes it's actually sitting out so you can go and play later on and be in the arena when you're supposed to be. And so I want to remind people that sometimes the most audacious actions you can take are the ones when people aren't clapping, the ones when it doesn't have the shine behind it, the ones that doesn't light up and glitter. And I would compare it to the book that I just wrote. No one saw the 18 months of tearing out pages, of the early mornings, of the working with publishers, of the figuring out, does this chapter really work? The moments when you wanted to put it back on the shelf and forget about it. That is audacity to me. That's when the true audacity is happening. Yes, when it finally comes out, everyone applauds the audacious finish of it. But it's really the audacity, the things that you do to lead up to that pinnacle.
So what I hear, Erika, is that it's not always about celebrating the process, or celebrating the result. It's about really sitting in the being and the becoming of the process and staying disciplined and committed during this period of time as well. I understand that isn't always people's mindset. It's not always people's attitude. And oftentimes there's slingshot moments that happen in our lives that get us to this new realization, perspective, and this new way of living. What was that slingshot moment in your life that had you start to show up with audacity?
Oh, love this question. So, Kyle, you mentioned it during the introduction, and this was 3.5 years ago on June 16th of 2022, a day like any other, a day that I was going to work, a day that I was drinking my pink Himalayan sea salt water. Kids were with the sitter, husband was with Kansas City. And I will say the pink Himalayan sea salt water probably came from J-Lo on some TikTok or something. She told me it was going to give me this glowy complexion. I'm still trying to figure out if it's actually working. But for any other females in their mid-40s, we try just about anything these days. And I think what happened that day was something that I never would have expected. It was a day like I said, like any other. I went and took that last sip of pink Himalayan sea salt water. I was in the parking lot where I'd worked for 10 years. I opened my car door and there he was. You see, it was a man I had never seen before. And as I asked the man, "Sir, can I help you?" his fist hit my face. He grabbed me by that hair and he pulled me to the asphalt pavement. He proceeded to punch me 4, 5, 6 more times. But you see, at that point, I wasn't even counting. I was doing everything I could to stay alive, spitting, biting, screaming, trying to get away from his wrath of the 210-pound stranger who was over me. Thinking in that moment, why me? Thinking in that moment, how am I going to get away from him? And in that moment, that's when the crease of his elbow came under my throat. And what was a matter of probably milliseconds felt like a matter of minutes or days. Thinking, is this my last breath on earth? Is this the last time I get to be the wife to Andy, the mom to Drew and Adeline, the last moment that I was allowed to live this big, bold, audacious life, walking into the suburban office building, thinking that because I had a hard hat and a degree and I was in a civil engineer in the industry that I'd lived this big, bold, audacious life. And in that moment, everything went black. And you never think that a moment like that, a punch like that, that type of moment will teach you so much. And by the act of someone way higher than me, I was able to get to my feet and run to that office building that every day seems so close and that day seems so far away. And in those moments, not knowing if he would come after me, if I was actually going to make it to safety. You see, the next 72 hours were a blur. He fled by foot, started burying himself in the grasses and the marshes adjacent to the office building. What I didn't know, Kyle, was that this man had been in prison since he had been 14. What I also didn't know is that the night before, he had assaulted 4 women in the streets of Philadelphia, that he had taken the bus to the outskirts of Philadelphia and actually sexually assaulted a woman that morning of. Then he got back on the bus and changed his clothes at an adjacent station at one of those drop boxes where you would donate clothes. What I didn't know is June 16th of 2022 was going to be my catalyst to Audacious Expansion. Because after everything happened, the next 72 hours were an utter blur between police, detectives, doctors, nurses, reports galore, newscasters showing up on my front lawn. And it was about 72 hours after I remember sitting outside with my big hooded sweatshirt on in the middle of summer, wanting all the protection I could find, tears dripping down my face, wondering how I was going to put my face and my life back together, feeling like the victim in that moment. And it was in that moment when I heard the laughter of Adeline at age 6 and Drew splashing in the pool at age 9. And in that moment, I recognized, Erika, this is no longer about you. And this is about them and their legacy. You can't be the victim right now. You can't be the survivor. You tell your kids to be bold and brave and live this life by taking that punch and allowing him to win. What are you doing? What are you showing your children? And it was that moment of connection, and connection was my oxygen. The fact that my sister drove hundreds of miles to be by my side, my husband jumped back on the plane, my friends drove from states away to be by my side, the phone calls, the texts, the messages, but it was my children who finally reminded me that was going to be the change. And that at that moment, I wasn't living that big, bold, audacious life. I thought I was, but I was really playing kind of small. And obviously, this is 3.5 years later, lots of therapy, lots of work on myself, speaking, writing a book, doing a TEDx, all of this stuff. I don't think would have ever come to fruition unless I knew how hard that punch actually hit me. And what I want to remind anyone who's listening right now is you have all had a punch in your life. This was my punch. My punch is different than yours, or maybe the same. But maybe it was by burnout. Maybe it was the bitter divorce, the sick child, the parent you lost, the job you don't have anymore, the business that went bankrupt, whatever it is, we've all had that, but we get to the choice of what we're going to do with it. And looking back now, 3.5 years later, I realize it was my choice to be in the position that I am now. It was my choice to audaciously expand. Even the days when I didn't want to, even the days that I didn't want to show up to 11 trials, that I didn't want to read my victim impact statement and look my perpetrator in the eyes, the day that I didn't want to keep doing the do to fight for the law in the state of Pennsylvania to change the law of strangulation of a stranger, that right now it's a misdemeanor and it should be a felony just like any other strangulation. And that I will continue to fight for that because someone else needs that. Someone else, I don't want to have go through what I went through. And that's when you audaciously expand, when you start serving others and you realize, listen, it's no longer about you. And I realized I was living in my little bubble, my little world, thinking I was this big, bold, audacious lady. And in hindsight, I was really playing small.
Erika, there's somebody listening in that is experiencing the same experience and feeling that I am feeling right now of vulnerability, of connection, inspiration, and this desire to take action. And I thank you for sharing so much of your heart, so much of your story, and being so vulnerable in allowing us to be in your space, in your ecosystem, so that we can understand that with the many of life's punches, that how we show up is more important than what happens to us. Erika, with somebody that's ready to take audacious action, for someone that just heard your story and resonates with it just like I do, what do you recommend for them to do right now?
You know, I'm going to ask you to start where you've already been, because you've already been audacious in your life. And so many times we don't recognize where we've already been. And unless we can look at our past, it's really hard to move forward. And what I had recognized through a lot of therapy, through a lot of work, that a lot of the trauma and things that had already happened in my life, I hadn't dealt with. And I remember so distinctly, Kyle, going to one of the first therapists. And I remember in like my second session, she made me draw a house. And I was actually really angry at her because I was literally gripping on just to stay functioning at that moment. How was I going to be a mom? How was I going to go back to work? How was I dealing with all of this in front of me, legal systems and everything else? But I will never forget that day, begrudgingly taking my pen out and drawing that house because she made me draw that house. But there was something that was so impactful. As we drew the different rooms, as I drew the windows and the chimney and what the attic looked like, she made me then draw what the basement looked like. But it was not just what it looked like. She then made me describe it verbally to her. And my basement was dark. And it was full of boxes, and it was cold and eerie. And as I described that to her, she let me know this exercise actually reflected what a lot of the trauma or past looked like, and the things that I'd just been repressing and pushing down and wanting to forget about and never dealing with. And realizing that I was never going to heal or get better if I didn't recognize the boxes that were already in my life that I hadn't unpacked. So what I want anyone that's listening to this right now is start with that, but also simultaneously start with the audacious actions you've already taken in your life. Have you quit the job? Have you taken the new job? Have you started the business? Have you decided to leave the marriage that wasn't working? Have you had 2 babies? Whatever it is, I call it in my book, take out your notes in your phone and label it Audacious Badass List. And I want you to just take 60 seconds when you get off of this podcast and write down all of the things that come to mind, all the audacious actions you've already taken. Because at some moment, the self-doubt is going to creep in. We have 80,000 thoughts a day, of which 90% of them are negative. When you start feeling that self-doubt creep in, I want you to open that list and I want you to remind yourself, look at where I've already been. You will absolutely blow yourself away. And then that one thing that you know that, Kyle, that you asked that person that's listening right now that wants to do that other thing, put that at the bottom of the list and bold it. And remind yourself that that can be on your list. If it's 6 months from now, 8 months from now, 3 years from now, you have what it takes to do it. Everything's figure outable. You just have to want it bad enough. And then take the first step. Pick that one action, take the first step. And when the self-doubt creeps in, look at that list and remind yourself where you've already been.
I really feel that. And I appreciate you bringing that up with writing this list. And with all that you've done, Erika, I'd love to know your perspective on the importance that community plays in the ingredients of reestablishing and finding the light throughout these dark moments in your life. What part or role did community play in you becoming the woman that we revere today?
Everything. And what I realized, I have 2 keynotes, and my main keynote, or one of my main keynotes, is the audacity of meaningful connections. And the reason is what I realized at the end of the day, there was no drug, there was no amount of therapy, there was no amount of reports that were going to get me back to where I needed to be. It was community and it was people. And I have a method that I realized I had been using for a long time, but it's really spelled out in my book that comes with a free downloadable journal, and it's called BOLD. And the BOLD, the L of bold, stands for lean on others. Because if we are not meant to do life alone.
Oh.
Our foundation is so weak when we try to do something alone. It is so much stronger. And as a woman who's been in the construction industry for 2 decades, we can't keep building up without building wide. And we need to keep building wide with our community and the people that are supporting us. And who are those board of directors? Who are those people in your life that you can count on, that you can believe in, that are there for you on those gnarly days? Because there's going to be those gnarly days, and life is going to life, and we are going to have the wall kicking moments. Who can you pick up the phone and call? Who is your board of directors? And I want to remind you, there's a stat out there that when we surround ourselves around other people who are high performing, high functioning, inspiring to us, we naturally, just sitting within a 25-foot radius of them, we naturally raise our bar by more than 15%. But conversely, when we have the people who are dragging us down and taking the energy out of us, we actually lower our bar by 25%. So you have to ask yourself and be really honest. Who is that community? Who are you surrounding yourself with? I realized I never thought I needed a mastermind group or a different group. And I realized when I started joining these groups with people that, quite frankly, intimidated the you-know-what out of me, that's when I grew. Exactly. I needed to be the small fish in a big pond. I couldn't, because it made me feel good to be the big fish in the small pond. That made me feel like I could pat my back, but I realized I wasn't growing. I wasn't changing. I was actually bringing my bar down. And when I started deciding that I was going to lean on other people and build that community of those people like yourself, Kyle, who are constantly giving back, and the missions you're doing and going after the things and creating the summits, it's like, man, I want to be more like Kyle. And it's good. That's a good thing. If you're around people who are inspiring you, who are intimidating you a little in a positive way, that's a good thing. That means, and if you see something in them, it's a reflection of you and where you're supposed to go.
Exactly. Erika, I really appreciate you mentioning and highlighting the L of your BOLD framework. Do you mind sharing the other letters and the importance of how all of that comes together and really gives us the action that we can take moving forward?
Yeah, because I truly don't believe you can audaciously expand without a framework. And the
Mhm.
BOLD really spells it out. And the B is believing in yourself. You have to start with yourself each and every day. What are you doing to fuel your mindset, to fuel yourself, to put the mask on first? How are you believing in you? And with the self-doubt, with the things that run through our head. I just talked to a group of women the other day, and we will wait, especially as females, to have 10 out of 10 of the requirements for a job to apply for the role, right? When our male counterparts will only wait till they have 4 to 6 of them. It's why do we not believe in ourselves? And as a mom of a little girl, I am like, we have to work on our confidence, right? And be brave and be willing to say, listen, I know I may still fail, but I'm going to be confident enough with myself that I will figure this out. So the B is believe in yourself. Start with yourself. Make sure you're doing that work every single day. For all of us, it's going to look different. Some of us, that's going to be writing. Some of us, that's going to be listening to a podcast. Some of us, it's going to be joining a mastermind. Maybe it's a combination of all of that. But carve out that time every day to start with you. Because if you don't start with the B, the O, L, and D will not work. And the O is the ongoing process. Making sure you develop the consistency. Not deciding once a month you're going to go to the gym for 8 hours. It's the little things that we're doing each and every day. And I have a method within the O called 3-3-30. 3 minutes a day. When you first get up, feet don't even hit the ground, no doom scrolling, no coffee. Intention of yourself. What is that day? What is the abundance you are going to attract that day? What is your intention that day? Is it prayer? Is it meditation? 3 minutes to yourself just in the morning. Your next 3, pen to paper, 3 things that you are so grateful for. But the caveat with this, it's not I'm grateful for my home. I am grateful for the fuzzy pillow that I love putting my head down on. Be so specific and almost visceral that you can feel that moment. I am so grateful for reading the Babysitter's Club book. I'm reading about Samantha last night with my daughter and seeing her laugh, right? Because then you start picking up on all of these other things that you're grateful for. Because it's so easy to be ungrateful for things and to realize all of the things that aren't going our way. And the last 30 is 30 minutes a day to invest in that audacious goal, the one that we just talked about before, that thing that you want to do that you're putting off because, well, when I have more money, when I have more time, when the kids graduate, I'll go and work on that. Literally 30 minutes a day. It's the compound effect. 3 10-minute pockets, 2 15-minute pockets. Wake up 30 minutes extra, go to bed 30 minutes late, but work on you. Defend that time. You will find the time to watch the Netflix series. You will find the time to get your nails done. You will find the time to doom scroll. You can find 30 minutes to invest in yourself. And as part of O2, what do you need to omit? What do you need to take off your plate? Because we're carrying around weight that is burying us and draining us, that is not serving us. And I call this don't bake the brownies. I realized as a young mom, I always was like, I want to be the bake sale mom and I want to do this. I hated baking brownies. Don't bake the brownies. Let someone else, let the mom who owns a bakery bake the brownies and go after her dreams and her goals. And I know the bake the brownies is pretty simplistic, but anything in your life, what can you take off of your plate so you have time for that 30 minutes to do? The L, the lean on others, and ending with D. And this is really when it becomes the pinnacle. To me, this is when you start to see the summit of the mountain. And this is when you develop others. This is when all of a sudden you are the light for others. You are doing the things for other people. And I don't care if it's the simplest thing in the morning that you're smiling and making a conversation with the barista at Starbucks, or you're changing the law in Pennsylvania, or anything in between. But if you are not starting to develop others, that's when it truly starts to be like, that hierarchy of knowing when you can serve and you can give back. Man, there is no price tag you can put on that.
Erika, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I'm feeling really audacious right now. I feel the energy through the camera, through the microphone. You have this all in a book. Like this is.
I do. And a free downloadable journal that comes with it that you can actually take pen to paper, because when we write something down, we're 43% more likely to make it happen. And guess what? When we tell someone else, we're 78% more likely to make it happen. We haven't done any of the work. So I really believe in actually taking pen to paper. And at the end of every chapter, there's an audacious action you can take.
What is one audacious action that people can take right now?
I mean, start with your audacious badass list, right? Like today, like get off this podcast that you literally need less than 2 minutes to get that list started, and add to it all the time. Every day when you accomplish something, just add 1 or 2 things to it and be like, and you're going to look at it and be like, man, right? It's proof. That's the proof that you can do the work, that you've done the B, you've believed in yourself enough to start, and you had the O because you've done the ongoing process of it to make it work.
A lot of people don't recognize the true process that go through developing a book. You and I are both authors. We have the book as the result that people can get. But there was a process that you actually had to go through, and not just the process of writing and finding a publisher and designing the covers, but I find that there's an unbecoming and a process internally that you often go through as the writer. With that process, what can people expect when they're reading and working through and experiencing your words and your work?
Oh, I love this. And I actually did a LinkedIn newsletter. My last one was actually the 10 things I didn't know that would happen before I write a book. Like all the little things that, to your point, like how long it takes to design a cover, or the one chapter that you have to go back to like 18,000 times because you just can't get it right. Or the fact that it would take me 18 months and almost feel like I was birthing 2 children without the epidural. Like, you know, it's all the things in between. But I will tell you, throughout all of it, it was probably the best spent time, money, and energy of therapy, because I don't think I've taken that long to just focus on unpacking some of this stuff. No matter how many hours you spend in therapy, the stories and what comes to mind and what all the thoughts that come up, and realizing, oh my goodness, like I have a lot to offer. Like I have a lot to get to the world, because I think, you know, I self-doubted myself. Like, do I really belong on a stage sharing my story? Do I belong, right? I'm not an author, right? And I think I realized, like, through this whole process, like I do have some good stuff to share, right? From Audacious Action. So, you know, anyone that's ever thought about it, like it literally starts with that one page. Like maybe that's your 30 minutes a day. And to me, something that really helped me with writing it is I love walking, right? My weighted vest is on. I love going walking. And that's when they say we're most creative, when we're actually walking, we're out in nature. And me sitting behind my computer typing a book all day was not going to work for me. So I actually talked to Slack as I was doing the chapters. I have 22 chapters in the book, and I would go out and I'd work on a chapter. I'd take my hour walk and work on a chapter. It wasn't the chapter at the end, but I would just get all my thoughts and ideas. And at least I started getting it out there. As I was talking, it was messy. It was, blah, blah, you know, but it started to form what I like to compare to construction, the bare rooms, right? Like just, you know what I mean? The outline of what I was trying to architect.
When you think of, you know, you are a woman leader in a male dominated industry. Can you walk someone through what that feels like, and then just compare it to the process of construction as a whole?
Oh, love this. Love this. And before we go any further, so I just made this change, Kyle. And I used to say male dominated all the time. And then I read an article the other day, and they actually said male populated, because I will tell you, some of the males that have been in my industry have actually helped me more than some of the females that I've been in the industry. And so, yes, there's a lot more of the population of the industry is males, but some of them dominate, but like, you know what I mean? For the majority, I've had some really great experiences with males actually wanting to elevate me and wanting to help me and being my sponsors. So it was just vernacular that I changed very recently. And now like I catch myself, because we can't do it without the males and the females, but we understand that diversity, and no matter where we are, you know, whether it's, you know, it really can make a difference within organizations, within cultures, within teams. But I will say that coming from that industry, it's been really tough. When I first started in the industry, it was less than 5% of us as females in the industry. And I remember that first day in Elizabeth, New Jersey, south of the Newark airport, where my office was a trailer with bars on the window. I was on top of an old landfill, knowing that I was going to build a 7-story hotel. That first day when the project manager handed me a set of plans and said, "Hey, Erika, you're going to be in charge of the MEPs." I had no idea what that meant. I had the degree, I got the job. And let me tell you, it was the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. So all of a sudden I realized I am in charge of making sure the lights go on, the toilets flush, and that if God forbid there's a fire, that the sprinkler system will go off.
Wow.
And, and what I realized is by being willing to ask questions, by being willing to lean on other people during a time when I didn't necessarily believe in myself, and imposter syndrome came in my head a lot. And it still does, right? Like there's still rooms I walk in that I'm like, ooh, do I belong? And then I'm like, of course I belong, right? And the minute I feel like I have to stop being who Erika is the minute I probably shouldn't be in that room anymore.
So good.
Yeah.
Erika, I want to do a few rapid fire questions. So I'm going to give a quick question, and then I'd just love to hear your quick response as well. One of the things that I wrote down earlier is, what is one habit that keeps you resilient?
Exercise, honestly, mindset, working out, moving my body every day. It's just helps me with the foundation of who I am daily.
Next question on my end. What is something people would be surprised to learn about you?
That I get up between 3:30 and 3:45, but I love going to bed early. Like if I can go to bed at 9:00, it's like my favorite thing.
Oh, that's insane. That's insane. 3:30 to 3:45. That's literally insane,
Yeah.
Erika. Oh my gosh.
I love the morning.
Yeah, that is wow.
And I don't drink, and I think the other thing is I don't drink coffee.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense now. What is something audacious that you've done within the last week?
Oh, I flew to Indianapolis and I spoke to 450 women in the commercial real estate space, and got on a stage that I didn't know, again, didn't know if I belonged, and just did it afraid anyways. And the confidence monitor didn't work. And so I had to go completely by, memory, and, accomplished it. Landed the plane.
Landed the plane.
With a few bumps. There was a little turbulence here or there, but I don't know if anyone even noticed. And sometimes it is showing up a little messy.
And here's my last question for you, Erika, but I don't expect this one to be a rapid response. You're an amazing mother, devoted wife. What would be your message to your children so that they can continue to keep the courage, they can continue to keep the grit, the resilience, and continue to live an audacious life like you have?
Keep failing forward. It's doing the things even before you're ready. But the one thing, and I always want to teach them that, because I truly believe resiliency and teaching, especially this generation where we've come into the point like everything's handed, and everything can be very, I don't want to say easy, but I think we've built a culture where we're not allowing our kids to fail sometimes, and realizing that them failing and not catching them right away, again, not in a precarious way, can actually teach them so much in life, and allowing them to have that failure to really learn, because that's life. But the one thing that I say every day, I say, listen, I'd rather you come home with a C on the test. I'd rather you come home with forgetting to do your homework. I said, but the only thing that will ever make mom truly, truly upset with you is if I hear that you are not kind to another child. And I think kindness always wins, and grace for each other and for other people. We have no idea what situation they're in. But I said, if I ever hear that you're not kind to someone, I said, that will be the worst insult you could ever give me as a mom. Treat everyone with respect and kindness. Doesn't mean you have to be everyone's friend. It doesn't mean you have to invite them to your birthday party, but everyone deserves that level of kindness and respect from you.
That's good. If someone reads Audacious Expansion, because they're going to buy the book after this episode, what is one shift you hope happens within their own lives?
Mm. I really hope that they utilize this book to help them spring to that next level, that when they open that first page, that it starts to uncover something and it starts to take back the layers of that onion. It starts to sharpen that pencil that may be dull right now. But at the end, on page 215 of chapter 22, and I ended the book on 22 for a very specific reason. And when you read it, you'll understand it even better. Hint, hint. But, at the end of the chapter, I want to remind you that you don't need permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need all the answers. You just need the audacity to begin. Your audacious future and everyone whose life you're meant to touch is counting on you. The world's been waiting long enough, and I can't wait for you to crush it. But here's the thing. The movement doesn't end when you close this book. This is where everything truly begins. I truly believe that the last page is the next page to opening your audacious expansion, and that it doesn't end when you close this book. It's actually just the catalyst to allow you to begin to really believe in yourself, to use the bold method, to use the other tricks and tips that are in here for you to just feel and know that you are ready for that expansion to live your ultimate and best life.
It is a catalyst to the expansion, and your book is also your own catalyst to your own expansion. What does an audacious expansion for Erika look like in the next 10 years?
Oh, I love this question. And I actually am going to get a prop out for this. So at the end of each of my keynotes, as people are walked in, I give them a pink, and if you're listening, it's a pink rubber band. I even splurged to buy pink ones versus just the brown ones. They cost me probably an extra half a penny, but it's worth it. And I remind people that I can't afford to give you a Tiffany's bracelet or anything fancy, but I want you to remember your life is like a rubber band. And sometimes you need to be safe. And sometimes you need to be comfortable and stay in that position that feels okay, but that we all have expansion within ourselves. We all have the ability to grow. And sometimes we're going to stretch a little too far, and we're going to know we have to come back. But if we keep stretching, it's going to get easier and easier. And for me, it's making sure that I can continue to share this message, be on the stages to not for the accolades and not for the title, but to know, to your point before, that there's one person that I've brought to that level who has lived so comfortable, and they know that he or she is ready for more, to expand. By leaving that and wearing that on your wrist and reminding yourself, hey, listen, when I feel like I don't want to audaciously expand, this is my reminder that I have it within me.
Erika, you have given us everything that we needed to be able to live an audacious life. And I'm so thankful for you as a friend, as somebody that I truly am boldly inspired by as well. I just thank you so much. If somebody's listening in right now, where can they get the book? How can they continue to support you? And what would you want to be next for them?
Oh, love this. Okay, so the book, Amazon, and if you read it, I would love if you liked it and loved it and thought it was audacious, please put a review on there. There's no better compliment you can give an author by, just endorsing what he or she has written. Same with all of Kyle's books. And the other thing is, I love LinkedIn is a home that I love sharing content and value. As well as Instagram and Facebook, but please reach out to me. I'm an open book. You DM me, it's me that's DMing you back. And I'm really loyal to that right now. The other thing is sharing one of your audacious actions. So to me, what could come on the other side is that after people read this book, it's people reaching out to me and just telling me what they decided to do. Like, what was that one decision? I don't want you to do 72 decisions. I don't want you to even pick 3. I want you to pick one thing, and I want you to share that with me, because to me, that's when the rubber's hitting the road. And that's when I know that the traction, that's when all of a sudden you are developing other people. So much so that in October of every year, I have an Audacious Woman Summit with 180 women in the room, where we really come together, we focus on this, we audaciously expand, we next level with a mastermind that's included with that for the folks or the women that want to really take it to that next level. So to me, it's, hey, listen, if you hear this, if this message sits with you, if you are ready to expand yourself into that version of yourself, messy, uncomfortable, knowing that sometimes the rubber band will break, then you should be in that community and part of that group.
Erika, thank you so much. This is, anybody listening right now, Erika's story reminds us of so much, but that resilience, courage, and audacity aren't just traits. They're choices that we make every single day. So we want you to go live boldly. We want you to go commit to creating audacity within your life and buying the book, Audacious Expansion, on all online platforms. One of the questions that we always ask our listeners at the end of our podcast is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. Go make yours worth catching. We'll see you all